I've learned there's never a dumb question to ask and look up everything and to learn from those who have gone before you. Don't reinvent the wheel. So thank you to anyone who posts their journey. It's inspiring for us newbies, and I get to learn. I have followed several RV groups along with a slew of YouTube channels, Instagram accounts, all kinds of groups for the past 7 years since we began our minimalism journey. This was really helpful in making our own full-time RV living dream come true. I've asked questions when I needed to, and I love when people share their journey, photos, tips, mistakes, gadgets, you name it. I have voraciously poured over other people's journey as well as the renovation process. You don't know what you don't know in RV living, and there are unique decisions, challenges, and rewards. In this post, I'm sharing our before and after photos. And just know that some of the before pictures, they look better than they did in person. For example, the paint. There was this cover-up renovation done on our RV, and in pictures it looks pretty good, and I thought I just need to touch it up. However, once you're there in person, even a few feet away, you realize it was absolutely not a good paint job. Also, the flooring was installed poorly, and it was a type of flooring that scratched really easily. So even though it was new, it wasn't in great shape. And of course, once we really dug into the RV, there was a lot of internal damage you don't see in the before or after pictures. The things that are hidden and behind the scenes and that you fix, but are essentially covered up. On January 23rd, 2021, we bought the RV. It's a 2002 Shasta Freeport Cheyenne, which is no longer being produced. I couldn't find the original floor plan, and I really geek out on floor plans. I actually scoured the internet, found a couple, and pieced them together to create a relatively correct and to scale floor plan that at least gives you an idea if you're like me and you like this bird's eye view. My husband Dan and I have been dreaming about going tiny for several years. We began our minimalism journey 7 years ago. We started out with 12 kids at home in about 2,300 square feet and had moved and downsized into 1,050 square feet, which is the house that I'm currently sitting in. Going from 1,050 square feet to 260 is still super daunting. Even though when we embraced minimalism 7 years ago, we got rid of 80% of what we owned, and we just continued to downsize as the kids moved out, as we moved into smaller homes. And also with minimalism, you constantly assess what you're using the most and what works for you, replacing things and getting rid of things and streamlining everything. So we were really in the mindset of living tiny, from following and heeding advice from fellow RVers. A couple things. It's best to just get something you can afford. Most people change what they want once they're in the space for a time. So do research, make a decision knowing that you may change your mind. For us, that was a Class C. And it was very impressed upon me in studying that you just get something and get in. Just do it. The next thing is it actually takes several months to acclimate to the size where you want to put things, including what you actually use. This is so hard in a renovation because I'm constantly thinking of where can we put storage and what will we put where and how can we maximize what we can put, downsizing from 1,000 square feet to 60. I'm constantly thinking about this from the perspective of we're downsizing 800 square feet to get into the RV, and you still want to bring with you everything that you use. And some things get really hard to let go of. Knowing from fellow RVers and tiny home dwellers that you change how you use the space and you change what you keep in the RV and what you, for us, put in storage. So don't make yourself crazy over that. I wanted to maximize the storage and realized that a lot of it, I wasn't sure what we were going to use it for, but that I knew it was there for us to use for whatever made the most sense, and that it would probably change. The next thing, and the thing I have talked about in prior videos, is that paying for a storage unit is a great way to keep the furniture that you don't want to replace if you end up going back to a sticks and bricks home, as well as sentimental items, seasonal items that don't fit in the RV. It's also a great way to keep things you're not sure you'll use. Again, I know I have hit a point where I don't want to get rid of anything else. I want to get into the RV and figure it out, then downsize based on that. Our initial plan was that since this RV was somewhat renovated, from pictures anyway, it would be my first renovation project and would take 2 to 4 weeks before we can move in. The prior owners used this partial renovation as a cheap way to go to great lengths to cover up severe water damage. In fact, now that we're on the other side of the renovation and we've worked with professionals, we're certain that the renovation was done solely to cover up all of the damage. Once we dug in and found it, we couldn't resell the RV without losing most of our purchase price, nor would we ever want to do that to someone else. So of course, we would have to disclose it. We were in a situation where we had nowhere to go but forward. My husband found a couple with a renovation business who were willing to tackle the project. Due to time and money, we didn't get everything done we were hoping for. The water damage was a lot more excessive than any of us had realized. The great news is that there's no longer water damage anywhere in this RV. The roof, the cab over areas are sealed, everything is structurally sound, and most of the renovation was complete. After 7.5 months it took to get the RV ready to be moved into and going through all of our savings plus some, we were actually considering selling it. We thought we could recoup the investment that we would put in, just break even or lose very little money on what we paid for the renovation cost and the RV. We could take that money and use it for what we had initially planned for, which was a down payment on the house and an RV that I could do the renovation on myself. The RV renovation company put up a 30-second Instagram reel, which I have also used in a prior video, and we immediately had 4 people interested in purchasing the rig. So I was confident if we got home, took pictures, used video, listed it in several places, we would have no issue selling it. Something else happened though. On the drive back home, after we picked it up, Dane was driving it, looking back at the space and realizing how much he loved it. I was driving the car behind him and he called me and said, "Oh my gosh, I love this RV and I'm getting excited and I know what I want to do in certain spaces." Getting excited all over again felt so good. We ended up with some great ideas about how we wanted to finish the renovation. That did mean we needed to spend more money to finish it ourselves, although comparatively speaking, it wasn't a tremendous amount. We also decided that to save money, we'd use everything that we had that would fit in the space. We scoured the internet for deals on what we wanted, and we borrowed tools from my brother-in-law instead of purchasing them to also reduce costs. And then we went to work. The things I've learned from doing this renovation: measure twice, cut once is an understatement, measure more times, be very careful. Even though storage was such a top priority that I was hyper focused on, aesthetics and setting up the space to work really well were also priorities. That meant not having a couch, putting the TV in the master bedroom where we watch it in our current home, balancing storage with how things looked and felt. I also realized to let go of how you think you want things when something's just not working out. For example, I was set on having a couch initially because I could fit 10 large totes underneath the couch. So not only was it a place for us to sit and lounge and comfortable, it was a tremendous amount of storage. It was really about maximizing the storage though, and less about what we really use. Changing it meant slightly less storage. It also meant having a space that we really liked more. There were also places in the RV that we decided to do something different because it looked better. For example, using a mirror over the bathroom sink instead of a medicine cabinet. But we also quickly realized that RV space isn't used for the same things as a traditional home. Our toilet room and our kitchen have the best storage, so that's where everything goes, from toiletries to clothes to books to office to kitchen supplies. You learn to use the space the best for what items work the best in which cabinets. And in such a small space where you don't have to walk far to get anything, it doesn't matter if items are in the traditional rooms that you'd put them in your home. We also realized we could put 3 PCs and our TV in our rig where initially we were struggling with where to put one PC and didn't think we would have a TV. If you go slowly and consider outside of the box ways to do things, it is really astounding what you can fit and what you end up realizing you don't need. We did decide to try to keep more in the RV, knowing that things might feel pretty tight, and then move things around when we were actually in using the space. Thank you so much for watching through my random musings about the process of going tiny to live full-time in our Class C RV. More videos to come on the renovation process, and so excited the before and after completed RV. Until then, have an amazing day.